There is a stranger who comes to this village from the sea. He comes in the winter when people are hungry and brings fish. He comes on the king tide. That was last night. Talk. I believe that an enemy is coming from far away. I'm looking for warriors. This stranger. Others like him. I'm building an alliance to defend us. It's very important that I see this man. Barry Allen. Bruce Wayne.
You said that like it explains why there's a total stranger sitting in the dark in my second favorite chair.
He said he'll fight with us?
More or less.
More or more less?
Probably more or less.
He said no.
He said no.
Look, man, I don't know who you are, but whoever you're looking for,
So you're fast.
that feels like an oversimplification.
I'm putting together a team. People with special abilities. You see, I believe enemies are coming.
Stop right there. I'm in.
You are? Just like that?
Yeah, I need friends.
Great.
Can I keep this?
I heard about you. Didn't think you were real. I'm real when it's useful. Arthur Curry. I hear you can talk to fish.
Hey everyone, and what you just saw is the trailer for the upcoming DC superhero movie Justice League, which is obviously based off of the team Justice League.
I'm Kier, this is Jill, and together we're New World Slackers. And today we're going to be breaking down Warner Brothers' new comic book movie, Justice League, as the trailer was just put out for San Diego Comic-Con. Now, we should let you know, this whole discussion potentially contains a lot of spoilers.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, we're just speculating. This, looking at what we've seen and, seeing if we can tie it to what's already established within the comic book continuity to kind of, suss out some sort of plot or at least idea of what's going on here. But if we're right, that has the, potential to be pretty spoilery.
Exactly. So if you're trying to stay away from spoilers, then maybe you should click away from the video right now. But for those of you who like to overanalyze the hell out of a movie trailer, join us as we delve deep into the comic book lore and try to suss out Warner Brothers' new film, Justice League. So join us as we get it on and poppin'.
Okay, so once again, we're doing a breakdown of the scene by scene for Justice League trailer. Unlike our Wonder Woman breakdown, which you can find on our website as well, our YouTube channel, this one didn't offer as much, so it's probably going to be a lot shorter.
There's definitely.
Yeah, there's not as much to kind of, pick apart, as it were. It's more of, we find, it's just kind of to establish some characters, to generate hype for these new characters, getting to see Aquaman, getting to see
Cyborg and
Flash,
stuff.
yeah. Because, even with Batman vs. Superman, we didn't really get to see, a full finished Cyborg, which was kind of neat to see in this trailer.
Yeah.
So, let's start off with, the first scene where we have, this very kind of, I guess, grim dark, because that's just how it is, even though they do seem to be trying to lighten things up with the dialogue. But
DC still has DC Warner Brothers, I should say, still has a very pretty bad case of grimdarks.
Yeah, they want to, it's very grayscale, all this kind of stuff. So this looks like, it's a marine side town. We think it's somewhere in Maine. I mean, the people there, they're pretty white. So even though in this Aquaman is, he's a
Pacific Islander,
or at least half Pacific Islander or whatever, he is like, his life is more, I guess, with this town because he comes back, it seems year after year after year bringing fish. So I think we're probably going to be getting more of, if you've watched the DC animated movie, The Throne of Atlantis, with that origin story, which is where he is half Atlantean and half human.
One of the side notes to prove Jill's point, one of the big problems that the half Atlantean, half human Arthur Curry has in that depiction is that he drinks a lot. You could even say he drinks like a fish.
Oh,
snap. Yeah.
Yes.
But also another point that to prove Jill's point is that the role of Mira, which is the love interest, the major love interest for Aquaman, has been cast. It's Amber Heard. We're suspecting, or at least we speculate, that potentially, even though Bruce Batman comes to Aquaman, Arthur Curry, and says, I need you for my team, etc., we suspect, because there's a later scene that has Cyborg, Flash, Wonder Woman, and Batman together and not Aquaman, we're assuming that, as they said, as Batman and Wonder Woman say, he's not coming. He's not coming, right? No. So I think that the only reason that Aquaman ends up joining the Justice League, because we know he joins the Justice League eventually, is maybe because of Mira.
Yeah, I think that's probably going to be his main, I guess, what's I'm looking
motivation?
For? Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I know we're kind of jumping ahead, but we just kind of wanted to get that out there because obviously this is going to be a big part of the story later on. At least this is what we believe. It's just kind of, as I said, we have this opening scene with, Bruce talking to these people, trying to find, the guy who comes on the king tide, bringing the fish.
Yeah.
Okay, so this next scene is actually probably the coolest part of this entire trailer. It has probably what we consider the biggest
golden Easter egg of the entire trailer.
Yes, totally. Basically what we have is we see a bunch of medieval dudes, looks like a king and his knights. They are burying some silver box in the middle of a forest. Now, this is probably confusing for a lot of people because you're like, wait a minute, I thought this movie was taking place, in the present. And it is.
And where's Batman and where's Wonder Woman?
Yeah, like this, and doesn't make any sense. I mean, you might think, oh, maybe Wonder Woman's around, but no, I don't think she is. She might have heard of this. This might be her telling a story. We don't know. I seriously doubt, though, that she was present for this particular
event.
Yeah. So what are they burying? We believe that they are burying what is called a mother box or possibly a father box. They basically are the same thing. It's just they have different names. So what are they? They are a piece of basically very advanced technology. They are like supercomputers that are, they're AIs. They're almost godlike. And they have what is inside them what is called boom tube technology, which basically they can open doorways to, I wouldn't know if I'd call it another dimension, but to the metaphysical plane. So, in particular, either Apocalypse or New Genesis. But seeing as with Batman vs. Superman, we were having hints of Darkseid already. Darkseid is the tyrant of Apocalypse, so we're pretty certain it is a father box from Apocalypse, and this is how he plans to come to our world.
Okay, so aside from that, another aspect I wanted to bring up about the whole Darkseid thing, for those of you who are Marvel fans and you're not really tuned into DC stuff so much, one of the things I'll say is don't get caught up in Darkseid equivocating Darkseid somehow with Apocalypse. They're nothing alike, and I see a lot of people talk about this, and truthfully, again, this is one of the reasons why we have the Unmasked Primer series. Go and watch it, learn all about Apocalypse, New Genesis, and all these different people and what they're like. Because if you really take your time and understand the different realms of the DC multiverse, you'll start to understand how these characters are so different, even if by surface things they seem similar.
Yeah, like when we say apocalypse, we're actually talking about a place, not a character. And and actually there have been people saying, and there is some truth to this, like DC and Marvel, they are constantly ripping off one another. I mean, the fact that, you know, Deadpool is actually a ripoff of Deathstroke. And it's just, you know, they constantly do this. And Thanos, who is going to be the big bad for Marvel's Infinity Wars, he is actually a ripoff of Darkseid. And even, I think, Apocalypse has grown out of Darkseid and as well Doomsday and a bunch of other characters like that. So, yeah, once again, just don't worry about that.
Yeah, there is trading back and forth of traits, but try not to confuse Darkseid, the character, with Apocalypse the place and Apocalypse the Marvel character.
Yeah.
So just keeping those things in line, that's going to be important for all the Marvel people out there who want to get into DC.
Yeah. So the next couple of scenes, it's a lot of basically kind of throwaway stuff. It's once again, it's a bit of character development. We see Arthur, he is drinking. He's, you know, obviously there's something kind of messed up with him. Once again, we think it goes back to the half-human storyline that he doesn't, you know...
He maybe doesn't have a mother. Again, if you want to know more, and I don't want to give too much away, but really do check out the DC animated Throne of Atlantis. It might give you some idea about what's to come for the Arthur Curry storyline. Mm-hmm. Another thing we wanted to say is that in the original Justice League stories and in the original Aquaman stories, all that Aquaman's powers consist of is the ability to talk to fish. It's Aqualad who has the ability to be a hydromancer. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering, and I'm curious to see what everyone else thinks, so please be sure to share a comment in the comment section below. But is it possible that the scene that we see of Arthur Curry standing on the rock with the water washing over him, like that huge wave washing over him, is that meant to indicate that he might be a hydromancer who doesn't even realize that he has this power?
It's possible. I mean, like the fact that they're never probably ever going to do Aqualad. So, I mean, don't get me wrong.
Justice for Aqualad.
I know, like, don't get me wrong. I love both versions. Mm-hmm. Calderum and Garth, you know, they're great versions, but I don't know if that's going to be something we're ever going to see, other than if they ever did like a Titans either movie or series. I know that
which may or may not be existent in the same universe as the cinematic universe.
Yeah, exactly.
So even if they did, it might not be the same Aquaman or Aqualad.
Very true. So the next scene that we have is we see, like, you know, this young black quarterback who is, you know, walking along, like, it looks like he's probably on the campus somewhere, and we can see by his Letterman jacket that he goes to GCU, which is Gotham City University. And this actually even is the QB on his jacket. That's how we know he's the quarterback. So this character is actually Victor Stone. And for those of you who don't know who Victor Stone is, he is the young man who eventually becomes Cyborg.
And Cyborg, as you know, is a member of the Justice League. Or if you didn't know, now you know.
Yeah.
But if you guys wanted to see him really for the first time, you've got to go back and watch Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice, because, again, it's one of those situations where Bruce has that encrypted file that he stole from Lex Luthor, or I guess that Wonder Woman stole from Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
And in it, you see this older man who is working on what looks like the head and torso of Victor Stone. And it's actually his father. His father's trying to save his life. That guy is actually played by Joe Morton, who is actually both Cyborg's dad and Olivia Pope's dad in Scandal.
Yeah, he gets around. So
everybody's father.
Yeah, basically everybody's father figure. Anyway, it's kind of neat. So because this scene obviously takes place before Batman v Superman, because he still has his body. Like the accident that he is in that basically destroys most of his body. I don't know if we're going to get to see his origin story, or if it's just, this is a flashback of him thinking about when he had a body and, you know, what he has left. So there's going to be a lot of, I think, there's a lot of emotional depth to be had with Cyborg because, you know, he's questioning whether, like, how much
He's
of
human anymore.
exactly, yeah, that is a huge story in Cyborg's
Right, and between gratitude for being saved and also anger and resentment for being not human or not being himself anymore. So quite a lot of internal conflict going on with Victor Stone / Cyborg. Really interesting to see that we're seeing this moment, this potential flashback of him with a full body. I think that's maybe an indication that the filmmakers are trying to tell you, yes, we are going to be delving into Victor's backstory. We are going to be delving into these sad things that have ruined his life and have, like, changed him into the person he is today.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think that's a good indication that we're going to get some heavy-duty backstory. Or maybe not, at least, if not heavy-duty, then...
at least something.
At least something substantive.
Yeah. So the next scene, this is kind of fun because we get a little bit of a bit of a flavor for the possible humor. You know, people have been complaining, especially with like Batman v Superman,
and we did it earlier too.
Yeah, that it's pretty, you know, it's grim
dark.
And you know, even the jokes in, you know, Batman versus Superman, they kind of fell flat, unfortunately. You know, I really wanted it to be a little bit lighter because the truth is, as much as I love Justice League, you can't really take them so seriously. I mean, as I said, you got a guy who talks to fish. There needs to be some sort of levity to it. So in this scene, we just kind of have, you know, this great banter between Bruce and Diana, who are trying to, you know, they're trying to put together this team. And, you know, obviously they're talking about Aquaman and whether or not Bruce is being successful. And he's like, oh, yeah, he's more or less with us. And Diana is totally not convinced. She's like, more or more less. And he's like, yeah, probably more less, right?
He said no.
Yeah, he said no. So obviously he's totally not down for this. And once again, we do think this is, you know, an indicator that
maybe Mira's the one who steps in and tells him, look, you are the king. You're supposed to be in charge of this and you got to do something. Mm-hmm. So potentially.
Yeah, because if Darkseid is threatening the Earth, that means it threatens Atlantis. There you go. So
on to one of another great scenes in this trailer, Barry and Bruce. So you get the Flash and Batman in the Flash's secret nerd lair, and it is everything. So actually we have seen bits of this in the trailer already, like Flash and Batman in Flash's lair, but we're going to analyze all of those bits together right now.
Mm-hmm. So first off, I said so Barry has his nerd lair, and we can see, you know, he's got a bunch of padlocks. It's probably like a storage container or something like that, just maybe a big one,
or maybe an abandoned warehouse.
Yeah, that's actually probably a lot more probable, seeing as most storage places aren't that big. Anyway, so it's probably like an abandoned warehouse that he has commandeered, and you know, he's got all this like scientific stuff set up, mostly monitors. Like, it's kind of fun to see that, yeah, he's watching Rick and Morty because, you know, he's a total nerd and we all know it.
Yeah, if you actually zoom in on one of the TVs in the background that he's watching or he had on, Rick and Morty is playing.
Yeah, totally. Anyway, it's kind of, so what we also see in here, which is a big indicator of where Barry Allen is at this point, which is his suit. So he has a suit that is there. So obviously he is already
on the superhero game.
Yeah, he is active as the Flash. Granted, the suit I don't believe is top tier at this point.
I hate to bring up Marvel stuff in a DC review or whatever, but as the resident Marvel girl, I'm just gonna point it out there for anyone else who's a Marvel person. This is a lot like the way, you know, when Tony Stark and Peter Parker meet for the first time in Captain America Civil War, that moment of Tony just mocking Peter's homemade basic ass costume.
His onesie.
Underoos. So, yeah, and then him basically funding Peter's new costume and stuff. We're getting the impression that it potentially is the same thing going on with Bruce and Barry.
Yeah.
Which leads us to another thing about Bruce being a mentor.
Yes. So with Bruce, like, despite the fact that, you know, all these people keep on trying to, you know, especially like all the Batman movies, except for like, you know, the two Joel Schumacher ones, but we're not going to talk about those.
They don't exist.
Yeah. Bad memories. Anyway. So with Batman, it's always been like, at least with the movies, he is the lone Dark Knight, he works alone, all this kind of stuff. But the funny thing is that, like, the truth is, Batman has a huge family. I mean, he is constantly adopting, orphans, even if they're not orphans. Like, if they have, like, you got a shitty father figure, don't worry, I got you back. Sure, I'll put you in danger, but I'll give you a cool costume and some toys.
And yeah, maybe your life might get threatened by some villains, but hey, no big deal because you get to live in a mansion.
Yeah, very true. And you got your own personal butler who is, like, basically, like, the best grandfather. He's kind of like a mixture of grandfather and grandmother mixed together, because he's sage and wise, and then when you come home, he always has, like, the best meal for you, so you can't really go wrong with that.
And it feels like some of that kind of fatherly mentoring spirit or whatever that you get from seeing Batman interact with the Bat family, like, the Robins and Nightwing and Batgirl and all those people. You get a sense of that a little bit with Barry and Bruce in this scene.
Yeah, I kind of, like, the main thing I got from it was, like, I just kind of hear Bruce in his head being like, I'm gonna adopt him. Like, I'm just gonna add you to my collection of dark-haired children. Anyway.
Oh my god, Bruce Wayne is the ultimate Pokemon trainer.
Must catch them all.
Train them in the gym.
Oh god, that's terrible. But unfortunately very apt. Anyway, so yeah, we're just kind of getting this great little kind of, back and forth, Barry's got some, like, really, kind of snappy one-liners, or even just to say, like, oh, you're in my second favorite chair, just kind of a weird kind of thing to say. And of course, at first Barry tries to blow off the whole thing, Bruce is saying, oh, I'm looking for this person, and Barry's like, oh, I think you've, I don't know whoever you're looking for, but I think you've made a mistake. And of course, Bruce answers him by throwing a batarang at him.
Because that's fathering skills.
Yes. So, of course, this is kind of neat because we get to see how they are going to represent Barry's powers, which is his ability to tap into the Speed Force. We can kind of see it so he appears to be moving at regular speed to us, but everything else is in slow motion. And there is this crackling energy, lightning around him as he moves. So this is a physical representation of the Speed Force. Granted, in the comics, it's usually like a yellow lightning or something
or
like...
Or red lightning sometimes.
Yeah.
Blue lightning is very specifically associated with bad creatures who are speedsters.
Yeah, it's kind of...
So it's weird that in this movie version, the lightning all around Barry is actually blue lightning.
A blue or a white or
yeah.
One of these.
So that's kind of a little bit weird, but at the same time, this is not existing in all the other multiverse universes, so... Who knows? Maybe in this one, blue lightning is fine. It's totally a sign of a good guy.
Exactly. So, anyway, obviously, he shows his powers, and Bruce is like, oh, so you're fast. And, of course, Barry has to be a smartass and say, I think that's an oversimplification. And what he's kind of referring to is that it's not that he's fast, it's that he is tapping into the Speed Force, but they probably won't go into that.
Now... Just to point out, and this is something you would have heard from our discussion of the Wonder Woman trailer that we also put out today, or earlier, was that Diana, Wonder Woman, is fast. She's fast, but she doesn't tap into the Speed Force. Mm-hmm. So therefore, she's never going to be as fast as Barry.
No.
Or any other speedster. She can be super fast, and that's true. She is super fast. We've seen that in the trailer, how she can move across a room in like a split second. That being said, she's still not tapping into the Speed Force, and you will see that the difference with her and him is that there's this weird blue lightning around him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, once again, like the end of this little scene is, Bruce basically saying, I'm putting together a team and to stop this, with special abilities, that is, and Barry's just like, yep, I'm in.
I need friends.
Yeah, such a loner, Barry. And do you know why he's alone? It's because the people at DC decided, well, not maybe at DC, probably more like Warner Brothers, because they got burned with Green Lantern, Hal Jordan. He's not going to get his best bro, Hal Jordan, and he's very sad about that. And everyone knows it. Like, Green Lantern who? What? No, we're not doing that. So, but yeah, if you don't know, in the comics, Hal and Barry are like best friends. It's kind of a little
bromance,
a little homoerotics in some points, but whatever. It's all good. Anyway, but no, it's good. They're best bros. So, but we're not gonna get that, unfortunately. So we get kind of something a little bit different.
Because Barry needs friends.
I'm sorry, Ezra Miller is freaking adorable in this.
So adorable.
I was not expecting that because I love the CW Flash,
Grant Gustin.
He's adorable. He's great. And I was like, oh, can I really love two different Flashes? Apparently I can. So yeah.
The Flash of two worlds.
Yes. Anyway, moving on, we get to see Bruce finally back in Batman gear. And, he's obviously jumping through some sort of sewer or something like that.
Yeah, it's really difficult to tell what this is, but it's like a rounded tunnel type thing. Either it's a subway train tunnel, or it's a sewer, or it's like a traffic tunnel.
Yeah, and I think this is all kind of connected to, we see a couple scenes. We finally get to see, some of the,
team or whatever assembled.
Exactly. So the rest of these kind of scenes, they just kind of go pretty quickly. There's not a lot more to really, give away. It's just flashes of, these people fighting, but this all seems to be happening in the same structure. It's something possibly underground, or
it's some sort of concrete structure. We don't know where it is, but if you look at this trailer and really break down the environment in which you see Wonder Woman, Cyborg, Flash, and Batman in their actual costumes and actually doing something that looks like they're assembled together as a team and about to start a fight with some bad guy. Mm-hmm. All of that seems to take place in the same concrete building or location. Mm-hmm. There's a very distinct linear pattern to the way the concrete has been marked, mm-hmm. which makes it very clear that this is the same place that all these people are in. So even if you see an individual shot in this trailer of Cyborg in his full outfit, with all his cybernetic parts, or Wonder Woman with her sword and her shield and she's ready to go, or the Flash trying to run around in his costume, all of these scenes are probably taking place in the same place because it looks the same.
Yeah, so that's generally all that happens. The last thing we have is a final it's almost kind of a throwaway of, Bruce talking to Arthur, basically saying, oh, it's like, Arthur Curry, I hear you can talk to fish. We kind of expected a bit more of a punchline. Obviously, the punchline is that people think that Aquaman is a joke, but if you are Jason Momoa, you are not a joke. Yeah,
yeah, when he lifted up, Batman and, literally threw him against the wall, I was like, well, that's not just Aquaman. Mm-hmm. Because the thing about Aquaman, as we said before, his original power was only talking to fish.
Yeah, he didn't have super strength
or the ability to summon a giant wave that he could withstand or whatever.
Yeah. Now, granted, we don't know if that's what that is, but it'd be I wouldn't be surprised if they gave him a little bit of an edge, to make him, just a bit more powerful. Or there's a possibility that wave that is powering over him is Aquaman got mad sharks, and
they're about to jump upon the land.
Yes,
land sharks.
Well, maybe not land sharks, but just showing a bit of his powers.
No, for sure, yeah. Yeah, and I also think that it's kind of important for them to give Aquaman something big to do, because if we remember, and Jill and I keep talking about how you guys need to check out these DC animated things, right? These DC animated films. Now, granted, they're only an hour and a half, sometimes a little bit shorter than that. And they're not as in-depth as the comic book. But it is a great stepping stone for people, and one of the great ones is a stepping stone to understand the true strength of power that someone like Aquaman truly has is watching Flashpoint Paradox.
Yes.
You will really understand how powerful it is to be the king of the seas.
Yeah, I mean, our world is 75% oceans. Yeah, we would be pretty screwed if Aquaman was like, do you know what? F all y'all.
All y'all can just go and drown.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's the thing. Again, check out what we have been saying, and you'll hear this again in the Wonder Woman as well, is that there's a bunch of DC animated feature films out there that you should check out, because any number of plot lines we feel are either being given homage or are being lifted directly out of these animated features.
Yeah.
So definitely check it out, and also gives you a great idea of the extent of the powers of these people. And another thing to check out is Unmasked. Check out our series. Understand how these creatures work, how these different, races are, what their powers are, where they come from, how the multiverse even works. If any of this stuff was confusing to you, we apologize, but we don't apologize, because we totally have something for you. Watch Unmasked, watch the primers, and then watch this review again, and it'll all make sense. Promise.
Yes. So once again, thank you for watching. We know we said it wouldn't be as long-winded, but we get started and we just can't stop. So
can't stop, won't stop.
So once again, thanks for watching, and be sure to hit subscribe if you liked what you've watched. Also, or like it, show your friends, family, annoy your neighbors, everything like that. So thanks again, and we'll see you later.
Later.
Bye.